It's about 9:15. We're charged up to 89%. Just got the car packed up and we are going to head to Dubuque today. We're going to explore a little bit of the Driftless area. That's going to be a theme through this summer, as well as start visiting some of the places we've been reading about in the Little House books, one of the homes of Laura Ingalls Wilder, as we go through Iowa today. We'll also explore a national monument, some incredible views of the Mississippi River, and say goodbye to a kind man, a good friend, and a blues brother. We're on a mission from God. Let's go. Our navigation has just one stop right now, Prairie to Chien, Wisconsin, but we are going to go through Rochester, and I want to make a stop once we get into Iowa. So we'll see how actual driving goes. We'll probably hit the Supercharger in Rochester just to use the restroom, but let's see what the car thinks. Joan, are you ready to go? All right, let's roll. Hello and welcome to Rochester, Minnesota. We are just driving through town, about to pass the older Supercharger, and we are going to give it a pass. I was thinking we would stop here, just bathroom break, but I'm doing fine. She's doing fine. And I was thinking we're still going to get to Prairie to Chien, Wisconsin with 10%. We're going to have a couple stops along the way before we get there. But on our big road trip to the Grand Canyon this summer, or this spring, I talked about how I wish the driving stints were longer and we should be getting to chargers with lower states of charge. But then coming down here and kneecapping this, when it says we can get all the way to Prairie to Chien and do a big long 3+ hour stint, we should do it. So we can always slow down if we need a little more. We're dancing between 10% and 11% arrival. But like I said, we're going to get out and stop a couple times, so that might go under 10. Still going to be fine. And once we get past Rochester, we're going to be on some smaller roads going through rural sections of southern Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. And so we're going to roll the dice. Better YouTube anyway. Now, what's cool about this area of Minnesota and into Wisconsin and Iowa, we're starting to get into what's called the Driftless area. I don't know a ton about it. I've driven through different parts of it before. But basically, the Driftless area is a section of mostly Wisconsin where, as the glaciers came down across Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and Illinois, they all kind of converged, but they never actually touched this section. So there's a lot of caves, sinkholes. There's also some great Native American things. So Effigy Mound, burial mounds that are here. It's not to do with the glaciers, but just a cool area to explore. And so we're going to check some of that out. It's also where the Mississippi River, as it comes out of Minnesota, starts to get pretty wide and become the big muddy as it goes down. So it's going to be pretty cool as we get to see some of those bluffs. I was watching some different videos on this already, and looks like there's some places that are pretty thick with rattlesnakes. So I brought my boots, but hopefully we don't have that close of an encounter. But should be pretty scenery. We're going to see how our range does and just enjoy the next couple days. Going down and back to Dubuque. I'd say we got 2 hours to Prairie to Chien yet. So far we've gone... Let's see our trips. Hey, this is really weird. This is a thing Tesla did to me on our last trip when we went to Duluth. I started a new trip and it's giving me zeros for this first leg of the trip, which stinks because this is obviously a big one. Not giving me any watt-hours per mile or saying anything since last charge. So I don't know what's going on with that. Seems like the first leg after a new reset is not recording, which is a huge bummer. I mean, I can figure it out, but annoying. So I look at this drive. Looks like we've gone about 80 miles. And the full drive to Prairie to Chien is going to be 190.9 miles. And just south of Rochester now, we're going under Interstate 90 as it crosses east and west across southern Minnesota. And we're actually going to be back down here next Saturday for a grand opening of a quick trip charger not too far away. That'll have past by the time this video comes out, but we're just going to be kind of down in this area a little more than usual, and it's not an area I'm super familiar with, other than we did do a tour through a state park, Mystery Cave State Park, a couple years ago. You can find that on the channel. We did the cave tour and everything. There's some pretty cool stuff there, so that was just a day trip, but we're going to do some more exploring in the next few weeks in this area and show you what we see. Those will be different videos though. For now, we're just cruising to the Iowa border. Let you know when we get there. In exploring these areas, I'm trying to hit more scenic views and pull-offs to stop and smell the roses as we go. The Preston Overlook was simple, but probably more beautiful in the fall or at sunset. After a quick stop, back in the car to the border. Alright, we've just turned into Iowa. I guess the official sign is up here, but we're crossing into Iowa. Welcome to Iowa! And just a few miles down the road, we are going to come to a little village of Burr Oak, and it's where the Ingalls family lived. Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote the Little House on the Prairie books, and we've read those over the years. Just refinished them last summer, so while we're on this trip, it made sense to stop by and see this site. As far as I know, this site is not in the books. It's not a chapter of her life she wrote about, but it still should be interesting from stuff from that time period. I want to say the 1870s, 1880s, but we'll learn more when we get there. Should be fun to see how little girls way back then lived. Hey there, girl on the hill. We are in Burr Oak, Iowa. The Mercantile Building is where tours begin, and there's naturally a gift shop with the books, other info, and some period toys and dolls and pioneer-style dresses. You'll see one of those in a minute. There were 4 of us in our group, and the guide did a great job showing us around the hotel and giving us a sense of what life was like there. Basically, lots of people in small rooms and sharing beds. Pretty interesting, and makes you feel pretty lucky to be living in our modern times. I picked up a poster like this one of Laura's travels for future trip planning. Joan found the swings in the backyard, then got dressed up to board the covered wagon. Pioneer girl. Can you climb down now? It's gonna go. Then we rang the school bell and visited an old schoolhouse, but not the original from Laura's time. Whoa! That's very loud, isn't it? Joan's going to school. And we did find out the family lived there from 1876 into 1877. A little more swinging, and we were back on our way. We're just leaving Burr Oak. Had a nice tour through the hotel where Ma and Pa worked. Ma and Pa Ingalls. Laura and Mary helped with the cooking and cleaning and stuff. And that's the town where baby Grace was born, so pretty interesting, all in all. It's about 1:05. Still saying we'll get to Prairie du Chien with 9%. We've got some cloud cover now. Joan, did you like that tour? Joan got to write on a slate and do some coloring. Saw some other cool stuff, some old toys and old shoes and things. Worth a stop if you're into this kind of thing. It's now saying we'll get to Prairie du Chien at about 10 after 2, a little over an hour, but I'm going to see where our next stop is. We might be stopping before then, so we'll play it by ear. Although, we haven't had lunch yet, and it's after 1. She's had some snacks, but I need to take care of that. All right, we are about a mile away from Effigy Mounds National Monument, and we are going to check that out. But we are also only 6 miles away from the Prairie du Chien Supercharger. We're at 9%, and we're going to get there. It's saying with 6%, but it just started preconditioning, so that might go down a little bit. We've got enough to get there. But I haven't used the restroom since 9:15 this morning, and it is almost 2 p.m., and we haven't really had any food. So, rather than hit a national monument and hikes in that state, we're going to cross the river over to Prairie du Chien, get some food, reset, use the restrooms, then we'll pop back over here and we'll check out the national monument, maybe do some hiking, and then we'll continue on down to Dubuque. That's the game plan. Feeling really good, although our initial estimate was we'd get down here with 14%. Getting here with 6% is still plenty. It's a pretty mild day, not terribly windy, so I was pretty confident we'd make it even as the arrival charge percentage was going down. So 6% is still very comfortable, and obviously 5 hours of travel and sightseeing is plenty to have a good long leg, which is what we wanted. We're now just going along the edge of the Mississippi River here, under the bluffs, and it's pretty cool, very beautiful. I don't know how much it's going to come through the camera, but we'll get what shots we can. These hillsides are fantastic. So, more to come, but we'll be at the charger across the river in Wisconsin in just a minute. We are in Prairie du Chien at 2:10 at 7%. And it's saying we need 7 minutes to continue to Dubuque, but we need more time than that. Let's look at our trips. So here you can see it says we went 192 miles and used 81.7%, which is good. But then if we go to trips, it's saying we only went 135, so that's messed up. It's not reading the first leg when I reset. So that's good to know for later, but probably these numbers are relatively accurate. We'll just have to tack on some miles there for that. But let's plug in, get some food, use the restroom, and have more adventures. This is a V3, and being one of the few chargers around, we've got a Volvo and I think a Hyundai owner plugging in there, so that's great. More the merrier. Price is 40 cents a kilowatt hour, which isn't super, but that's all right. It's here, it's working. We're already up to 102 kilowatts. That's probably going to keep climbing. Yep, we should get good speeds here. It's a nice day, and we're at a low state of charge. All right, we had a nice picnic lunch. It's 2:40, so it was, I don't know, a little less than a half an hour maybe. But doesn't matter. It's saying it's an hour to Dubuque. I'm going to add a stop, and we're going to go back to the Effigy Mounds and see what that does. Well, that's interesting. It's having us go all the way up there. I would think we'd be able to go that way. I'm going to just basically go up one street, take a left, and go across there. What a weird, unless that way on the bridge is closed, but that changes our whole plan for the day. Regardless, we're at 87%, so we gotta unplug and get moving. That was 21:31. 87% at 2:44. Well, that's a bummer. We're gonna have to try to hit that tomorrow on our way home, because there is no way to get back to Iowa across that bridge, and the nearest way would take us another hour and 15 minutes before we even got there. So we're headed back south to go straight to Dubuque. We'll get there, then we'll check in, maybe go for a swim, and just take it a little easier, unless we see a cool place to pull out along the way, or just going to Dubuque. There should be some beautiful scenery along the way. Hopefully we stay out of the rain. We are at the Dubuque Supercharger while we figure out our next game plan, make contact with some friends here, and get ready to go to the hotel, but we may as well be charging while we think. I don't know why we blanked out again since our last charge. That's super annoying. Well, there's our stats so far on the Dubuque trip, other than I think around 60 miles or so that we don't have logged. Let's plug in and think, probably use the restroom, and make a plan. Version 2 Supercharger, so it's going to be a little slower, but we're at 61% already, so no big deal. Saying 20 minutes if we went to 90, we're not doing that. We should probably jump right up to about 150 kilowatts, and it's 37 cents a kilowatt hour here, so not bad. All right, we're at 92%. That's definitely good enough for tonight. 92% at $4.26, and that costs $7.53. I've stayed at this Best Western a few times, and it's nice, but on weekends it's always been packed with traveling kids' sports teams, so check-in can take a while, the hallways can get a little noisy, and if you book one of the last remaining rooms, it's not always cheap. But a great pool area that Joan was anxious to explore, and overall a nice place. After our swim, we drove over to the Village Inn restaurant, a local favorite. Kinda dinerish, they serve breakfast all day, but other stuff as well. Since these were the longest days of summer, it was still plenty light when we finished. And I figured with all the bluffs around, there must be a good spot to catch sunset. We found Eagle Point Park, and it turned out to be a super cool spot. Well, super cool, but at dusk also super mosquito-y. But still, look at these views. If I remember correctly, it was $1 a vehicle to get in, so really cheap and some really cool spots. Reading about eagles? After taking in the views, Joan played on the playground for a little bit, but the mosquitoes were really coming out in force, so time to head back to the hotel. And back at the Best Western at 82% at 9 p.m. And I have no idea if our mileage is accurate anymore, but we just drove over to Eagle Point Park, had a cool sunset time there, and now we're going to get some rest and be ready for tomorrow. How are your loops? Good? Oh, good. Leaving for the morning at 78% at 9:15. No charging overnight, but we didn't need it. Beautiful 67 degrees out. Well, we've had quite a day so far, but now we are headed back north. We had a beautiful, hilarious, fun, and touching tribute to my friend Chien, and shared a lot of great memories. He will be missed. Joan was really well behaved and patient. We grabbed some lunch afterwards, and then went down to the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium. Really cool. We probably could have spent another half hour to an hour extra there. I think we were there a little over an hour. Plenty to see, lots of stuff for kids, things to walk on, different boats, and fun, cool experience. Really nice area, kind of roped off and contained, but it feels very spacious. So that was cool. Birds, animals, otters, turtles, and fish, all sorts of things. All right, we just had a wonderful time at the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium. It's a really cool complex. We were just going to head right up to Effigy Mounds National Monument, but we do have to stop. We would get there at 43%, so there's no reason to charge here again, but we need to go to the store for an emergency supply, and so we're going to do that. We're going to plug in. We'll be overcharging, but it doesn't make sense to stop when we're this close to a store that's got a charger and what we need. So we're going to do that. It'll make us get home a little faster. So plug in for just a couple minutes as we grab that and be on our way up north again. 69%, 205. Gotta run in here for a minute and we'll be right back. It's $3.33. We got up to 82%. It's 2:15 and time to go explore. Did need to run back to Hy-Vee quick, and now we're back on the road. It's saying we'll get to Effigy Mounds with 53%, and that's right across the river from Prairie to Chien, so if we need to charge up again, we'll probably need a little food or something reset by the time we're done with Effigy Mounds. So we have the Prairie to Chien Supercharger as a backup default, but if the weather's nice, if we're relatively efficient, we might be able to just go all the way to Rochester from here and see what we can see along the way. If we find any good lookouts, we'll bring you along to those too. But first, out of the hilly roads of Dubuque. This area reminds me of kind of the Ozarks or around Chattanooga, where just everywhere is just up and down, lots of hills everywhere. So just going through town, you're either on the spine of a bunch of hills or you're just crossing all of them up and down serpentine style. So it's kind of funny. I don't know if I'd want to live in a town that does that all the time, but I suppose if you're used to it, you're used to it. My hometown had one big hill going down to the river, but it was either you were above the hill or below, that you didn't spend much time going up and down. So just interesting and different for how far north we are, different topography, and it's just kind of cool to see the rocks jutting out of the hillsides and stuff as we cruise around. But I think we're going to go up the bluffs and right along the side of the river on our way up to Effigy Mounds. We just stopped a little south of Gutenberg up on the bluffs and saw a beautiful view of the Mississippi River. There was a plaque there. I didn't have time to read the whole thing, but I'll put a clip of it in here, so if you want to check that out, you can pause and read that. Just a beautiful view. I was able to get the drone up, so hopefully got some nice shots for you there. We've still got a little over a half hour to the Effigy Mounds National Monument. Saying we'll get there about 4:15. Hopefully it's open later than that. We'll have to see. But beautiful area. We're driving around just, the rolling hills and the bluffs. I feel like I could record it all, but the camera always flattens things out. So it's tough to get a feel for really how up and down we're going, but it's very fun. It's not fast, but it's very fun. Sean, did you like that hike? Is it a pretty cool view up there? Yeah. We just are leaving the Effigy Mounds National Monument. Really cool, beautiful views up there. Nice hike through the woods. Quite a few mosquitoes, but if you keep moving, it wasn't bad. We obviously didn't hit all of the overlooks, so we didn't see all of the mounds, but they're kind of hard to see from ground level. But when you get up on a rise, you can kind of see them a little better. But it was cool to see, and like I said, just beautiful hikes. Pretty steep climb at the beginning to get up on the bluff, but just fantastic views. Backtrack a little bit. This looks like we can get across the river again this time. So we're just gonna hop across. It says 6 minutes, but we gotta grab some food while we're there, so might take a little longer, but that's fine. In Rochester, 8 minutes, and on our way home. And a beautiful day for it. It's not too hot. It says it's 75 right now. I don't think it was that warm, and definitely in the shade of the woods, it wasn't that warm. So good weather for a little exertion. Joan hiked most of it, especially the steep part, but I did end up doing some piggybacking, but that's okay. She was a trooper. We're going to cross the river, charge up, and then start heading home. We are here at 42%, saying 14 minutes. Let's see what our Trip say this is 72.7 since our last charge in Dubuque. That probably makes sense. 616, 42%. Let's plug in. So this is 40 cents a kilowatt hour again. We're over 113 kilowatts. That should climb a little bit more, but I'm gonna get into the store quick and get back. All right, we are at 6:29. It says we're ready to continue. We're not ready to continue quite yet, but that's all right. We'll be going in about 5 minutes probably. And as usual, I have no idea where we ended up, but finally done. 87%, my goodness. So it is saying Rochester for 6 minutes, it's saying, which will be plenty. We'll need a break because we have to go up the other side of the river for some reason. Oh well, we'll figure that out. Well, kind of an extended stop there, but that's all right. It's now saying we'll get to Rochester at 9:04. I tried a couple different ways to get over the bridge, but we would have kind of had to backtrack further south and then come up wading through a long line of slow traffic to cross the bridge. But we haven't gone up this east side of the Mississippi yet, so I figure after a couple attempts, let's stick with the plan. Go up along the Mississippi on the east side and see the bluffs this way. We should have a nice sun setting. Oh, wow, that is spectacular. These knolls and bluffs are just gorgeous. So it should be nice with the sun setting to our left. Hopefully it's not too bright when we take a sharp left and drive to Rochester straight into it. Should cross over by La Crosse. That might be Interstate 90. Haven't really paid that close of attention. FSB's been doing most of the driving, so that's been good. A couple of frustrating moments, but for the most part, it's done a very good job, and I'm paying attention, so can catch things if they start to go screwy. But beautiful green trees and hillsides and blue skies. It's a fantastic day for a drive. We're nearing sunset. It's 8:45 p.m. Tomorrow's the longest day of the year, so this is close to it. We're getting a beautiful sunset. Pretty simple, but nice. Also blinding when we're in the face of it. But all in all, we've had a good day today. We did stop by just past the border into Minnesota to check out the rest stop. Little walk around the river. Some nice views there. Saw a super long ship come through. The river is still definitely being used for commerce, not just recreation. So it was cool to see that. And I don't know if you could hear it in the audio clip, but you could hear like the ship creaking as it came through. So that was kind of cool. That's comically large. We're 31 minutes away from Rochester, 32 miles. At least we're on the interstate now, or we can go over 70. Saying we'll get there with 24%. Let's see how long it thinks it's going to need there. Yeah, it says 7 minutes, so that would get us home with 10%, which is more than enough. So we could almost chance it without a stop, but I think we're going to need a little restroom and refresh. We've been on the road for a couple hours now, so that'll be good. Just a quick stretch and stop, and then I think it's about an hour and a half home from Rochester, so should all be good. Hopefully the deer stay in the ditches and not on the road. See you in Rochester. We are at the Hy-Vee in Rochester with 23%, 9:16. Saying we need 6 minutes, but if the Hy-Vee's open, we're gonna run in and use the restroom. That last trip may have been, 66 miles? I don't think so. I'll do the math on that, but I feel like it was maybe since our last stop was 66 miles. I don't know. This whole thing's messed up, so I don't know what to trust, but looks like our efficiency's been pretty good. That makes sense from the lower speeds we were going. Gonna go see if the Hy-Vee's open and plug in here. This is a version 2, but great price at only 23 cents a kilowatt hour, so I'll take that any day. We're at 23%. We're gonna run in and try to make this a fast stop. Hy-Vee is open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., so they were open, which is nice. All right, we are at, I think, 73%. It's way more than we needed, but that's life. All right, that was 7:53. We're at 74%, so way overcharged, but that's all right. It's the time we needed. And now we've got an hour and 21 minutes to get home. Let's do it. Make it there by 11 p.m. With 38% at 10:56. It's saying, cleared our last charge thing again, but I think if we go to drive, we can see that was 77.6 miles. It was relatively efficient. And overall on our trip, it thinks we went 493.6 miles. Our average watt hour per mile was 271.8, which is very good. But there's a few more miles, I think at least 60 we got to tack on there, but I'll do that math when I have time to do the wrap up. Now it's time to get this girl to bed. Oh, hey, we did cross 140,000 miles, almost to 141,000. So that's good. But who knows if that odometer reading is even close to accurate after the insane readings we've had on this trip. If we look at the legs versus the readings, there's some big discrepancies. The drive screen graph seemed to get things right, but it wasn't always showing in the trip or odometer readings. But while we were driving around town in Dubuque, we covered about 25 miles between those two charges there. And I had to figure that out based on mapping it out on Google, because subtracting the odometer readings said we did 88 miles in town. And I knew we were nowhere close to that, so maybe at some point the odometer caught up to the miles it had been missing throughout the day? When we got home, I really wish I would have thought to check the next day to see if the odometer adjusted overnight after the missing miles on the return trip. Probably just a software bug, and we have had a minor update since this trip, so maybe it's been fixed, but I'll definitely be keeping a closer eye on our distances in the future. Other than that oddness, which you may not even notice if you're not making a video, and the construction over the Mississippi River, this was an easy and excellent little overnight trip. Tough to have to say goodbye to a friend, but sometimes that's why life puts you on the road. Chien was a kind and talented man, and despite his own troubles, always wanted to make sure others were doing well and taken care of. He spent his time bringing joy and silliness into the world, and in lieu of condolences, I ask that you go out and try to share some smiles too. The poet Weird Al said, "I'll be mellow when I'm dead," but I like to think that Chien is up there wackier than ever, unburdened by his physical struggles here. We'll miss you, buddy. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and happy road tripping.